Thank you for joining us. My name is Bill Stone, and we're going to be talking about one of the big five temperament types, agreeableness. As you recall from our last session, we're talking about those below the waterline behavioral tendencies that don't show up on resumes. Those are the things, in our case, temperament, that are hidden but truly dictate our success or failures. And that these qualities can be measured. And if we work at it, we can make best use of them and be more effective as business decision makers. And I'm continuing to encourage you to take the personal leadership to become self-aware and use that self-awareness to be more effective in the work that you do. If you've not already done so, I'd encourage you to go download the Big Five temperament scales from our website. Might make it a little easier to follow things along and make notes, etc. And if you have any questions on any of this, I hope you'll feel free to contact us. I don't want to start a squabble here because I think most of us want to be seen as agreeable, although I'm sure we've all had people in our lives that would make us wonder if that's actually true or not. Irregardless of that, we all possess innate tendencies that guide the way that we approach our relationships with other people. Our ancestors lived in tribal groups because in a hunter-gatherer economy, that was the best way to survive. Well, nothing's changed. We still live in tribal groups, but because our economies have become much more complex, so have our tribal relationships. Now our tribes include people like co-workers, bosses, customers, folks we like, folks we don't like, but basically folks we have to get along with in order to make our way in the world. And especially those relationships that bring us joy, those folks that mean the most to us. They take time and effort to develop those relationships. And understanding the way you approach agreeableness helps to understand how you build those relationships. Some of us seem to be quite willing to express our opinions and are more guided by our beliefs as we interact with others than any particular preference for seeking harmony. Others of us are more driven by a need for harmony and would say things to the group but would be sensitive to whether we hurt feelings or not and might set our beliefs apart as we express ourselves. So on the one hand, we have folks who may appear to be outspoken, but on the other hand, we have folks that may seem to be more interested in getting along than expressing their opinion. Most of us, of course, are some combination of the two. Those curmudgeons in the world, or maybe even bullies, sometimes take leadership positions by the force of their opinions. But for the most part, effective managers tend to be accommodating and sensitive to creating harmony within the group. They certainly are able to express their beliefs and be assertive when they need to be, but they do so in a manner that respects other people's opinions. So it's not just about do something even if it's wrong, but rather working as a team to come up with the best possible solutions. Conflict is a natural part of our lives, whether we were out on the Serengeti trying to round up the wounded antelope, or whether we're working in our businesses trying to build a strategic plan in uncertain times. During a hiring interview, you could invite your candidate to discuss times when they've had conflict on the job and how they handled it. And this will give you a sense of how they're going to handle conflict in your work setting. If you're working in a performance evaluation, you can ask your colleague when others on their team were taking a wrong approach and they thought they needed to make a change, how did they handle it? Were they assertiveness? Were they bullies? Were they able to come to some accommodation that allowed your business to move ahead? Just a little tip here. As someone interviewing during a stay interview or employee evaluation, it's sometimes useful to appear a bit dim-witted. That is, you may know what happened, and you may know how your colleague handled a situation, but get them to explain it, even if they're telling you things you already know, because that will help you develop a vocabulary to help coach them in the future. I hope you'll take the time to download the Big 5 temperament scales we have on our website. So I think that'll help you get a better grasp of these Big 5 temperament scales, and especially as we move on to our next segment, conscientiousness. This is Bill Stone, and I certainly thank you for watching our segment, and hope you'll get in touch with us if there's some way that we can help you understand any of this material, or perhaps we can help you use this in your work setting. So, with that, we're on to conscientiousness.